Nothing great is ever built from hesitation. Nothing extraordinary is ever created from indecision. And if you want to shape your future, you've got to be willing to act boldly. Even when you're uncertain, even when you're uncomfortable, even when you're afraid. Because waiting is the slow death of dreams. Most people wait. They wait for clarity. They wait for the right time. They wait for the fear to disappear. But the truth is, it never does. You can't think your way into greatness. You can't wait your way into success. The future doesn't belong to those who sit back and hope. It belongs to those who step forward and take it. Look at history. Every major breakthrough, every game-changing innovation, every cultural shift. It all happened because someone acted boldly when others hesitated. The Wright brothers didn't wait for certainty before trying to fly. Henry Ford didn't wait for approval before revolutionizing manufacturing. Edison didn't wait for perfect conditions to invent the light bulb. They acted, they moved, they took risks when the rest of the world stood still. Bold action isn't about knowing all the answers. It's about having the courage to act before you have them. It's about moving forward. Not because everything is perfectly clear, but because you refuse to stand still. Because you understand that hesitation is the enemy of progress. The problem is, most people are trained to avoid risk. From an early age, we're taught to play it safe. Don't raise your hand unless you're sure you're right. Don't try unless you know you'll succeed. Don't speak up unless you're certain you'll be accepted. And over time, this conditioning creates hesitation. It teaches you to wait, to overthink, to analyze instead of acting. But the longer you hesitate, the more fear grows. The longer you wait, the harder it becomes to act. And eventually, the window of opportunity closes. Not because you weren't capable, but because you didn't move. And here's the secret. There's a reason successful people seem fearless. It's not that they don't feel fear. It's that they've trained themselves to act in spite of it. They've learned that action dissolves fear. The moment you move, the moment you take that first step, the fear begins to fade. But if you wait, if you hesitate, fear strengthens its grip. Bold action isn't about recklessness. It's not about taking blind leaps without strategy. It's about making the decision to move forward before you have perfect clarity. It's about understanding that you will never have all the answers, that you will never feel 100% ready. But you go anyway. You take the risk, you place the bet. You speak up, you step forward. And once you take that first step, the path starts to reveal itself. Because the truth is, the answers are only found in motion, not in overthinking, not in hesitation, but in action. The future belongs to those who move, not those who wait for permission, not those who sit on the sidelines hoping for the right moment. Every goal you have, every dream you've imagined, every result you want, it all lies on the other side of bold, decisive action. You will never think your way into success. You will never plan your way into greatness. Success doesn't come from endless preparation. It comes from stepping forward, taking action, and adjusting along the way. The problem is, most people are paralyzed by their own minds. They overanalyze, they drown themselves in what-ifs and worst-case scenarios. They convince themselves they need more time, more knowledge, more preparation before they can make a move. And while they're busy waiting for the perfect moment, someone else is already taking the opportunity they're still debating. You think the most successful people are the smartest, the most talented? Absolutely not. They are the ones who act while everyone else hesitates. The ones who move forward even when the path is unclear. The ones who show up before they feel ready. Because they understand something most people never will. The only way to make progress is to take action. Right now, you will never have all the answers. You will never be completely ready. You will never eliminate every risk. And that's why most people never make it. Because they let the fear of imperfection paralyze them. But while they're waiting for certainty, you could be creating momentum. While they're waiting for the stars to align, you could be stacking small wins, building confidence, making progress. Bold action is what separates the winners from the talkers. It's what distinguishes the doers from the dreamers. And the difference isn't skill. It's courage. The courage to move forward even when the outcome is uncertain. The courage to put your reputation on the line, to risk failing, to risk looking foolish, to risk everything for the chance of building something extraordinary. And here's the hard truth most people avoid. Failure is not your enemy. It's your greatest teacher. It's feedback. It's the sharpening stone for your skills, your discipline, your resilience. Every setback is an opportunity to get better. Every mistake is a lesson. Every failure is part of the process. Bold action isn't about avoiding failure. It's about using failure. It's about pushing through the discomfort, adjusting, learning, and then coming back stronger. It's about understanding that the only real failure is quitting. Everything else is progress. Most people think boldness is something you're born with. It's not. It's a skill. It's a habit. And like every habit, it can be built, trained, strengthened, but only if you're willing to step forward before you feel ready. Only if you're willing to act even when fear is clawing at your mind. The future doesn't belong to those who never fail. It belongs to those who never quit. And if you want to win, you have to train yourself to act. Not tomorrow. Not when you feel prepared. Not when the timing is perfect. But right now. From an early age, most people are conditioned to seek comfort, avoid conflict, and minimize risk. It's drilled into them from the beginning. Play it safe, fit in, follow the rules. And whatever you do, don't stand out too much. Because if you stand out, you risk rejection. You risk failure. And the world has a funny way of punishing those who step too far outside the lines. The conditioning starts early. A child raises their hand, gives the wrong answer, and the entire class laughs. They internalize the message, don't speak up unless you're absolutely certain. It's better to stay quiet than risk embarrassment. Then comes adolescence. A teenager applies for a position and gets turned down. They start thinking, why bother trying if it only leads to rejection? It's easier to lower the bar than to face the sting of failure. And then adulthood hits. Someone takes a shot at starting a business. It fails. And instead of seeing the failure as a lesson, they take it as a personal verdict. Maybe I'm just not cut out for this. They retreat. They play it safe. They hide from the very risks that could change their life. What happens over time? Those experiences build subconscious patterns. Your mind starts to associate action with danger. It begins to calculate the safest route, the most comfortable option. And before you even realize it, your mind has built a cage around you made of fear and hesitation. You become paralyzed. Not because you lack talent. Not because you lack ability. But because your subconscious mind is trying to protect you from discomfort. It's trying to keep you safe. But safe from what? It's from rejection. From embarrassment. From the possibility of failure. This is why most people hesitate. Their mind has been trained to see bold action as dangerous, even when bold action is the key to everything they want. They avoid rejection not because they can't handle it, but because their subconscious mind links rejection with pain. They avoid speaking up, not because they have nothing valuable to say, but because they've learned that being wrong comes with consequences. And so they sit in silence. They play it safe. They convince themselves that good enough is all they should expect from life. But here's the truth. Growth only happens in discomfort. There is no progress without friction. There is no transformation without resistance. The very discomfort you are trying to avoid is the doorway to everything you want. The people who succeed at the highest level are not the ones who avoid discomfort. They are the ones who seek it out. They understand that every great achievement is born from struggle, that the pain of discipline, of rejection, of failure, is nothing compared to the pain of regret. And while the rest of the world is hiding from discomfort, they are diving headfirst into it. They push themselves to speak up even when their voice shakes. They put themselves in situations where they might fail. They place themselves under pressure because they know that pressure is what shapes them into something stronger. And that's the difference. That's what separates the achievers from the dreamers, the bold from the cautious, the relentless from the comfortable. It's not about avoiding discomfort. It's about embracing it. It's about using it as fuel, because discomfort is the price you pay for greatness. And if you want to reach the top, you better get comfortable being uncomfortable. Every time you avoid action, you strengthen the habit of hesitation. And every time you hesitate, you make it easier to stand still. You train your mind to be comfortable with inaction, to stay safe, to do nothing. And before you know it, standing still becomes your default mode. Your comfort zone shrinks, your confidence fades, and your potential slips further out of reach. But here's the good news. Just like hesitation can be trained, boldness can be trained too. The mind is a tool. And just like any tool, it can be sharpened, strengthened, molded to serve you instead of holding you back. You can condition your mind to see action as safe, to see movement as normal, to see risk as part of the process. You can train your subconscious to understand that stepping forward is not something to fear. It's something to embrace. That taking risk is not a threat, and failure is not the enemy. Failure is simply feedback. It's the path to mastery. The first step is to change how you see discomfort. Most people see discomfort as a signal to stop. They feel fear and assume it's a warning, a red light flashing that says turn back. But discomfort is not a warning. It's a sign of growth. It's a signal that you are moving beyond your current capacity, stretching beyond what feels safe and comfortable. And that's exactly where you need to be. Athletes understand this better than most. A runner doesn't get faster by staying comfortable. They push themselves to the edge of their capacity. They embrace the discomfort. They deliberately place themselves under stress so their bodies can adapt, grow stronger, move faster. And over time, what once felt hard becomes easy. When their threshold increases, their limits expand. The mind works the same way. The more you step into discomfort, the more your subconscious adapts. The more you act boldly, the more normal bold action becomes. And eventually, what once felt terrifying becomes effortless. But here's the key. You have to build the habit of action. Not in huge, overwhelming leaps, but in small, consistent steps. Daily decisions that train your mind to see movement as the default state. Because every time you take action, you weaken hesitation's hold over you. You teach your mind that movement is normal, that growth is the standard. Boldness is not a personality trait. It's a skill. And like any skill, it can be developed. It can be trained, it can be mastered. But only if you're willing to step forward over and over again until action becomes who you are. Most people have it backwards. They assume action requires confidence. They wait until they feel ready, until the fear subsides, until the doubts disappear. But here's the truth. Action creates confidence, not the other way around. You don't wait until you feel courageous to act. You act and courage follows. You don't wait until you feel confident to speak. You speak and confidence follows. You don't wait until you feel capable to step forward. You step forward and capability follows. Every time you act, you're rewiring your subconscious. You're proving to your mind that you are someone who moves, someone who leads, someone who makes things happen. And over time, that identity becomes embedded in your subconscious. You become the person who acts, not the person who waits. But here's the challenge. Your mind will resist this at first. Your subconscious will try to pull you back into safety. It will tell you to wait, to gather more information, to analyze the situation further. Not because it wants you to fail, but because it's trying to protect you from emotional discomfort. It's trying to keep you safe. But safe from what? From the possibility of embarrassment, from the chance of making a mistake, from the risk of being judged. None of that matters, because the only thing worth fearing is staying exactly where you are. This is why the most successful people have learned to act before they feel ready. They've trained themselves to override the hesitation response. They've trained themselves to move forward even when their mind screams at them to hold back. When their mind says, you're not ready, they step forward anyway. When their mind says, this could go wrong, they act anyway. When their mind says, you might fail, they try anyway. Because they understand something most people never will. Action is the antidote to fear. Fear cannot survive in motion. The moment you move, the moment you engage, the fear starts to fade. But if you wait, if you hesitate, the fear grows stronger. It roots itself deeper into your subconscious. It builds a cage around you that only bold, decisive action can break. And this is why perfectionism is so dangerous. Perfectionism is hesitation dressed up as preparation. It's the mind's clever way of creating an excuse to avoid action. People tell themselves, I'm waiting for the right time, I'm making sure I'm prepared, I'm not ready yet. But those are just masks for fear. Sophisticated forms of self-sabotage. Successful people don't wait for perfection. They know perfection is impossible. They know action creates clarity. That momentum reveals the answers. That forward motion exposes the next step. They understand that nothing happens without movement. They don't sit back waiting for the conditions to be right. They create the right conditions through action. And while the rest of the world is waiting for certainty, they are building momentum. This is why most people never break through. They want certainty before they act. They want a guarantee before they risk. But life doesn't work that way. You don't get guarantees. You don't get certainty. You get opportunity. And you either step into it or you watch someone else take it. Bold action means acting without guarantees. It means trusting yourself to figure it out as you go. It means stepping into uncertainty, knowing that even if you stumble, even if you fail, you will adapt. You will adjust. You will learn. And you will grow stronger. Because bold action isn't about avoiding failure. It's about learning from it. It's about stepping forward even when you're scared. It's about making decisions without all the answers. And that's the difference between the people who move mountains and the ones who just talk about moving them. When you train yourself to act before you feel ready, you create momentum. You create confidence. You create the future on your terms. Because the future is not built by those who hesitate. It's built by those who move forward while everyone else waits. Every moment you spend hesitating, overthinking, or waiting for permission is a moment wasted. An opportunity lost. And the harsh truth is, those moments add up. Days, weeks, months of hesitation add up to a lifetime of regret. Bold action separates those who make things happen from those who watch things happen. It's the defining characteristic of every leader, every innovator, every person who has ever left a mark on the world. The courage to act when others are waiting. The willingness to move while others are stuck. But what stops most people from taking bold action? Fear. Fear of failure. Fear of rejection. Fear of the unknown. And that's what most people never understand. The fear doesn't disappear by waiting. It doesn't fade by sitting back and overanalyzing. It grows. It festers. It takes root. The mind clings to safety, to comfort, to certainty. It tells you to wait, to hold back, to gather more information. But what it doesn't tell you is that waiting is a decision in itself. Hesitation is a choice. Inaction is a choice. And the longer you hesitate, the harder it becomes to act. Successful people live by a fundamental rule. Speed matters. They don't overanalyze. They don't sit on ideas for months or years. They move quickly. They make decisions fast. They act on opportunities before they have all the information. because they understand that the longer they wait, the less likely they are to move at all. It's not about recklessness. It's about momentum. Because momentum is what builds everything. Bold action creates energy. It creates movement. And once you are in motion, things begin to fall into place. The path starts to reveal itself. Opportunities you couldn't see before suddenly become obvious. Resources that weren't available before suddenly appear. And progress starts to snowball, picking up speed with every step you take. But none of this happens if you don't take the first step. Most people live with the illusion that they are one decision away from action. They tell themselves, I just need more time to think. I just need to be sure I'll start when the conditions are right. But that moment never comes. Conditions are never perfect. And if you wait for them to be, you'll be waiting forever. Because perfection is just an illusion the mind uses to keep you safe, to keep you small, to keep you from moving forward. And the only way to break free from that illusion is to act. Not tomorrow. Not when you feel ready. But right now. Clarity doesn't come from thinking. It comes from doing. Confidence doesn't come from waiting. It comes from acting. And if you want to shape your future, you have to get comfortable making decisions without all the answers. You have to be willing to step forward, even when the path isn't clear. You have to trust that you'll figure it out along the way. Because that's how bold action works. It's not about knowing. It's about moving. And the faster you move, the faster you learn, the faster you adapt, the faster you grow. Every major breakthrough in history, it came from someone who acted before they had all the answers. The great entrepreneurs, the world-changing leaders, the revolutionaries who shaped entire industries. They didn't wait for certainty. They acted before they were ready. They put themselves on the line. They made decisions with incomplete information. They trusted themselves to figure it out as they went. And because they moved first, they created the future while everyone else was still waiting for the perfect time. And that's the difference. That's what separates high achievers from everyone else. They've conditioned themselves to move quickly. They don't hesitate when an opportunity presents itself. They don't let fear stop them. They don't need to be pushed. They push themselves. And because of that, they win. Not because they're smarter. Not because they have better ideas, but because they act while everyone else hesitates. The truth is, most people fail before they even start. Not because they lack talent. Not because they lack intelligence. But because they never take the first step. They wait for permission. They wait for guarantees. They wait until the fear disappears. But here's the truth. Fear doesn't disappear. Fear only fades after you act. And the only way to overcome it is to move forward anyway. That's why bold action is the most powerful tool you have. Because action destroys fear. Action creates momentum. Action separates you from the masses. And the faster you move, the more powerful you become. Because momentum is the great amplifier. But here's where most people go wrong. They live their lives in preparation mode. They spend years learning, analyzing, getting ready, but they never actually start. They convince themselves they need more time, more education, more experience. And all the while, they're standing still. Preparation without action is useless. Knowledge without execution is meaningless. And planning without movement is nothing but procrastination dressed up as productivity. The future belongs to those who are willing to start before they feel ready. Those who understand that clarity is earned, not granted. That confidence is built, not bestowed. That progress is made by those who have the courage to step forward, even when the path is unclear. Because the people who win, they don't wait. They move. And that's why they succeed. Think about this. What's the one thing you've been putting off? The one decision you've been avoiding? The one step you know you need to take but haven't? What is it that's been sitting in the back of your mind day after day, untouched, unresolved, collecting dust while you wait for the right time? Now, ask yourself why. What are you waiting for? Because whatever reason you come up with is just an excuse. The time will never be perfect. You will never feel fully ready. And if you don't act now, chances are you never will. Bold action is not a one-time event. It's a habit. It's a way of life. It's the muscle you build through repetition, through daily decisions, through pushing yourself to move when everything in you wants to hold back. And here's the secret. The more you act, the more natural it becomes. Over time, you transform into the kind of person who moves forward instinctively, without hesitation, without doubt, without fear slowing you down. And here's something most people never understand. Speed beats perfection every single time. The person who takes 10 imperfect actions will always outperform the person who spends years trying to get it right. Because while one person is waiting, the other is learning, adapting, improving, and growing. By the time the person waiting finally decides to act, they've already lost. They've lost time, they've lost momentum, and most importantly, they've lost the edge that only action can create. Because while they were sitting on the sidelines, someone else was in the game, taking shots, learning from mistakes, getting stronger with every attempt. If you want to forge the future, you've got to start now. Make the decision. Take the step. Stop overthinking. Stop waiting for certainty. Stop letting fear decide your future. Bold action is not about confidence. It's about commitment. It's about making a decision that you will move forward no matter what. That you will figure it out along the way. That you will not be one of the people who let hesitation steal their future. Because hesitation is a thief. It steals your potential. It robs you of progress. It keeps you locked in place while life moves on without you. The choice is yours. You can either watch from the sidelines, waiting for the perfect moment that will never come, or you can take control and create the future you want. And the only way to do that is through bold, decisive, relentless action. Bold action is not a skill you're born with. It's something you build through repetition. It's a habit. And the more you act, the more natural it becomes. The more you step forward, the less fear holds you back. But if you do nothing, if you hesitate, if you wait for the perfect moment, your hesitation becomes a habit. And habits determine your future. And if you let hesitation be your habit, then mediocrity is all you'll ever know. Most people live on autopilot, locked into the same routines, repeating the same patterns, making the same choices, thinking the same thoughts. Day after day, they follow the same scripts, reinforcing the same identity. And they don't even realize it. They don't realize that every decision, every action, every hesitation is programming their subconscious mind. And here's the thing. The subconscious doesn't care what you want. It only follows what you do. It's a mirror reflecting your habits back at you. If you hesitate every time an opportunity appears, your mind starts to believe that hesitation is the right response. If you avoid discomfort, your mind begins to link discomfort with danger. If you wait for certainty before acting, your mind reinforces the belief that action requires guarantees. But the opposite is also true. If you act quickly, if you train yourself to move before you feel ready, your subconscious starts to expect action. It starts to believe that moving forward is the natural response. That stepping up, speaking out, taking risk is not just acceptable. It's normal. And once bold action becomes normal, hesitation begins to fade away. But the opposite is also true. If you act quickly, if you train yourself to move before you feel ready, your subconscious starts to expect action. It starts to believe that moving forward is the natural response. That stepping up, speaking out, taking risk is not just acceptable. It's normal. And once bold action becomes normal, hesitation begins to fade away. Your subconscious mind is a tool, a powerful tool, but only if you train it. And training it doesn't happen by accident. It happens by choice. It happens by making bold action a daily practice. Not something you do once in a while, not something you wait for the right opportunity to use. It's something you build step by step until it becomes automatic. Every single day, you condition your mind to expect movement. You teach your body to respond to fear with action. You make decisive steps a habit. You forge a mentality where hesitation has no place. Because when the big moments come, you don't freeze. You don't hesitate. You move. And that's why discipline is more important than motivation. Motivation is unreliable. It comes and goes like the weather. Some days you feel inspired, other days you don't. And if you rely on motivation, you will never be consistent. You'll only act when the mood is right. But discipline does not care about feelings. Discipline does not negotiate. Discipline means acting whether you feel like it or not. It means making bold action automatic. It's the ability to do what needs to be done when it needs to be done, whether you feel like doing it or not. The strongest people in the world are not the most talented. They are the most disciplined. They have trained themselves to take action no matter what, to move forward even when they don't feel like it, to push through when others quit. And over time, that discipline becomes an unshakable mindset, a mindset immune to fear, a mindset wired for action, a mindset that forges the future instead of waiting for it. Here's the truth most people don't want to hear. Your life is a reflection of your actions, not your intentions. It does not matter what you want. It matters what you do. You can have the best ideas, the biggest dreams, the most detailed plans. But if you don't take action, none of it matters. Because bold action is the only thing that turns potential into reality. It's the only thing that takes your dreams from your mind and brings them into the real world. And the only way to get there is to train your mind to act. Not once, not occasionally, but every single day. There are two types of people in the world. Those who take action and those who make excuses. And make no mistake, excuses always sound intelligent. They sound logical. They sound reasonable. I'm not ready yet. I need more time. I don't have the right resources. But every excuse is nothing more than a polished lie, a disguised form of fear, a sophisticated way to justify staying exactly where you are. Every excuse is a choice to settle. Every excuse is a decision to stay the same. And here's the difference. The people who succeed, the ones who rise above the rest, they don't make excuses. They take action. They move forward even when it's inconvenient. They step up even when the timing isn't perfect. They act even when the path is unclear, because they understand that waiting for perfect conditions is a fool's game. They create opportunities while everyone else is still thinking. They build momentum while others are still debating. They take the lead while others are still waiting for someone to give them permission. And that's the difference. That's what separates leaders from followers. If you want to lead, if you want to rise, if you want to be the person who shapes the future, instead of just watching it unfold, you must train yourself to act. Not later, not tomorrow, right now. Because life doesn't wait. Opportunities don't wait. The world doesn't stop moving while you're making up your mind. And it all starts with the small decisions you make every single day. The decisions that most people overlook. The decisions that most people push aside, telling themselves they'll act later. But later never comes. Later is an illusion. Later is the graveyard of dreams. Every time you hesitate, remind yourself, move. Every time you feel fear, remind yourself, act anyway. Every time your mind tells you to wait, remind yourself, this is the moment to go. Because the future doesn't wait, and neither should you. Bold action is not about being reckless. It's not about rushing forward without thought. It's about building the habit of decisive movement. It's about training yourself to step forward when others hesitate, to take control instead of waiting for someone to give you permission, to create opportunities instead of hoping they appear. And here's the harsh truth. Most people don't lack intelligence. They don't lack ideas. They don't lack potential. What they lack is the ability to execute consistently. They have moments of motivation, bursts of energy, short-lived attempts at change. But they never follow through. They start and stop. They begin and hesitate. They overthink and hold back. And because of that, they never build the momentum needed to break through. And here's what most people never understand. Momentum is the most powerful force in success. Because when you're in motion, everything becomes easier. Momentum creates confidence. Momentum creates clarity. Momentum creates results. But you'll never build momentum if you keep stopping and starting. If you keep making excuses. If you keep waiting for everything to be perfect before you move. The winners in life are not the ones who wait. They're the ones who act. They're the ones who understand that progress isn't about having all the answers. It's about making things happen while others are still making excuses. And the only way to do that is to make bold action a way of life. Not just a moment of courage, a way of life. The hardest part of any journey is the beginning. The hardest part of any action is the first step. But once you are in motion, everything becomes easier. Once you have momentum, you don't need to force yourself to act. Movement becomes automatic. This is why consistency is more important than intensity. Bold action is not about making one big move. It's about making many small moves over and over again until success is inevitable. It's about training yourself to take action every single day. Not just when you feel inspired, not just when the timing is perfect, not just when it's easy. Most people fail because they are inconsistent. They take bold action once, but then they retreat. They step forward one time, but then they second guess themselves. They make a move when they feel good, but when things get difficult, they stop. And this is why they never get anywhere. Because without consistency, there is no momentum. And without momentum, every action feels like a struggle. Discipline is the cure for inconsistency. When you develop discipline, action becomes automatic. You don't think about it. You don't wait for motivation. You don't debate with yourself. You just move. And when you do this, something incredible happens. Your subconscious rewires itself. It begins to expect action instead of hesitation. It begins to see bold action as normal instead of risky. And once that happens, success is no longer a matter of effort. It's a matter of habit. Hesitation is a habit. And like any habit, it can be broken. But breaking it requires consistent action. Not just once. Not just when you feel like it. Every single day. Because the more you act, the more natural it becomes. The more you move forward, the less hesitation holds you back. And the more you make bold action a way of life, the more success becomes inevitable. The fastest way to break it is to shorten the gap between thought and action. Most people hesitate because they give themselves too much time to analyze. They think about everything that could go wrong. They weigh every possible outcome. They convince themselves they need more time to decide. But the longer you wait, the stronger hesitation becomes. The longer you hesitate, the harder it is to act. The key is to act before hesitation has time to take hold. The moment you feel the urge to do something, move immediately. If you have an idea, act on it right away. If you know you need to make a decision, make it quickly. If you feel resistance creeping in, push through it without hesitation. Speed destroys doubt. Speed eliminates fear. Speed keeps you in motion while others are still debating what to do. This is why the most successful people are not the ones who make the best decisions. They are the ones who make decisions the fastest. They understand that action creates clarity. They know that no amount of thinking will provide the same level of insight as doing. They move first and adjust as they go. And because of that, they stay ahead while everyone else is still waiting for the perfect moment. Perfectionism is one of the biggest killers of bold action. Perfectionism convinces you that you need more time, that you need to prepare more, that you need everything to be just right before you start. But perfection is an illusion. There will never be a perfect moment. You will never have all the answers. You will never feel fully ready. And if you wait until you do, you will never move at all. The people who succeed are not the ones who spend their lives preparing. They are the ones who act. They are the ones who move forward, even when they're not fully ready, even when they're not entirely certain, even when fear is whispering in their ear. Because they understand that the only way to silence the fear is to act in spite of it. The secret to bold action is speed. The secret to momentum is movement. The secret to success is acting before hesitation has a chance to grow roots. And the faster you act, the less power hesitation has over you. The most successful people understand this. They know that done is better than perfect. They know that action is more valuable than planning. They know that the only way to get better is to start before you are ready. And because they move forward, because they take imperfect action, because they adjust as they go, they succeed while others are still preparing. Bold action doesn't mean ignoring risk. It means taking calculated risk. It means stepping forward despite uncertainty. It means accepting that failure is part of the process. Most people avoid bold action because they are afraid of failure. They think failure is proof that they are not good enough. But failure is not the enemy. Inaction is. Every successful person has failed. They have failed more times than most people have tried. But they do not let failure define them. They do not let failure stop them. They learn from it. They adjust. They keep moving forward. And because of that, they reach levels of success that most people only dream of. If you want to forge the future, you must redefine your relationship with failure. You must stop seeing it as something to be avoided and start seeing it as feedback. Failure is not a dead end. It is a lesson. It is data. It is an opportunity to improve. And the faster you fail, the faster you learn. The faster you learn, the faster you succeed. The people who win in life are not the ones who never fail. They are the ones who never stop. They are the ones who take action again and again, learning and adjusting with every step. They are the ones who do not allow temporary setbacks to turn into permanent excuses. They are the ones who refuse to let fear control their future. Because fear isn't the problem. The problem is letting fear stop you. The problem is allowing the possibility of failure to keep you from ever trying. The problem is waiting for the perfect moment when there is no such thing. The winners understand that failure is part of the process. They know that every setback, every mistake, every misstep is part of the learning curve. And instead of letting failure be a reason to quit, they use it as a reason to get better. Bold action is not about being reckless. It's about having the courage to move forward even when the path is unclear. It's about being willing to fail, knowing that failure is not the end, but the beginning of growth. The truth is, most people never succeed because they never truly try. They let fear paralyze them. They let doubt consume them. They let hesitation steal their future. But the people who move forward, the people who take action despite their fear, those are the ones who make things happen. And the reason they succeed is simple. They are willing to do what most people won't. They are willing to fail, to learn, to adapt, and to try again. And because they keep moving forward, success becomes inevitable. Your future is being shaped by your actions right now. Not tomorrow, not next week now. And if you do not take control of it, someone else will. If you do not take bold action, you will spend your life watching others who do. If you do not move forward, you will stay exactly where you are. So the only question that matters is, what will you do? Will you hesitate or will you move? Will you wait for permission or will you take control? Will you let fear dictate your choices or will you forge the future with bold, relentless, unstoppable action? Bold action is not just about achieving success. It is about owning your life. It is about refusing to live on autopilot. It is about refusing to let fear, doubt, or hesitation dictate your future. Because every time you hesitate, every time you wait, every time you hold back, you are giving away control. Most people live reactively. They respond to circumstances instead of creating them. They let external forces decide their future. They let opportunities pass by because they don't feel ready. They let fear stop them because they don't want to make a mistake. And before they know it, years have passed and they are still standing in the same place. If you do not act boldly, life will make decisions for you. Someone else will step into the opportunities you hesitate on. Someone else will claim the rewards you were too afraid to chase. Someone else will build the future you dreamed of because they moved while you waited. And that is the difference between those who create success and those who only wish for it. The world doesn't wait for you to feel ready. It doesn't care if you're uncertain, unprepared, or afraid. It only rewards those who act, those who step forward, those who make things happen. The question is not whether you have what it takes. The question is whether you are willing to move forward without hesitation. Because every second you waste is a second you will never get back. Every opportunity you let slip by is one someone else will seize. Every moment you wait is a moment you give away. The truth is, you don't need more time. You don't need more certainty. You don't need more approval. You need to act. And you need to act now, because the future will not wait for you to make up your mind. It belongs to those who are bold enough to seize it. So what will you do? Will you keep waiting, wishing, hesitating? Or will you decide right now that you are done waiting for permission? That you are done making excuses? That you are done letting fear control your life? Because the only way to forge the future is through bold, relentless, unstoppable action. And the only way to take control of your life is to start moving now. Successful people understand that waiting is a slow form of failure. They understand that if they do not take action, nothing changes. They do not let fear hold them back. They do not wait for certainty. They do not waste time overthinking. They step forward while others hesitate. They take risk while others retreat. They make things happen while others make excuses. Bold action is not reckless. It is intentional. It is about making the decision that you will not be passive, that you will not live your life watching from the sidelines, that you will not let opportunities slip away because you were too afraid to move. Bold action means stepping forward because you are uncertain. It means making decisions before you feel ready. It means acting even when fear is present. Fear is not the enemy. Inaction is. Most people think they need to get rid of fear before they take action. But fear is not something you eliminate. It is something you move through. If you wait until you are fearless, you will never act. If you wait until you feel completely prepared, you will never start. The only way to weaken fear is through action. The only way to build confidence is through movement. Confidence is not something you are born with. It is something you earn. Every time you take action, even when you are uncertain. You train your mind to trust itself every time you push through hesitation. You build the muscle of boldness every time you step forward when others step back. You reinforce the belief that you are someone who takes control. And the more you do this, the more natural bold action becomes. Hesitation is a habit, but so is courage. If you hesitate every time an opportunity arises, hesitation becomes automatic. But if you move forward every time fear shows up, action becomes automatic. The secret is repetition. The secret is training yourself to act over and over again until hesitation becomes impossible. Because when you train yourself to act in the presence of fear, you are conditioning your mind to be unstoppable. Successful people are not fearless. They are bold. They understand that courage is not the absence of fear. It's the ability to move forward in spite of it. They have learned to use fear as fuel. They have learned to step into discomfort, knowing that discomfort is where growth happens. And the reason they succeed is simple. They do not allow fear to control their actions. They act, they adjust, they keep moving forward. And because they do, success becomes inevitable. Your brain rewires itself. Boldness becomes instinct. Fear loses its grip. And soon you'll find yourself making moves that once seemed impossible. This is how people rise. They do not wait until they are ready. They do not wait for the perfect plan. They do not wait for someone to give them permission. They decide that they will move forward no matter what. They take the first step, and then the next, and then the next. And before they know it, they have built momentum so strong that nothing can stop them. And here's what most people don't realize. The biggest risk in life is not taking any risk at all. Playing it safe is an illusion. If you avoid risk, if you hesitate, if you wait for guarantees, you may feel safe in the moment. But in the long run, you are setting yourself up for failure, because the world does not reward those who stand still. It rewards those who move. It rewards those who take initiative. It rewards those who have the courage to forge the future instead of waiting for it. Everything you want is on the other side of bold action. The success you want, the opportunities you seek, the confidence you wish you had, the life you dream of. It is all on the other side of a decision. The decision to move now. And once you make that decision, everything changes. Your mind stops searching for reasons to wait and starts searching for ways to move forward. Your brain shifts from hesitation to execution, from doubt to determination, from fear to action. Because bold action is the catalyst for everything you desire. It is the force that breaks through hesitation. It is the discipline that silences doubt. It is the courage that overpowers fear. And the more you act, the easier it becomes. The more you move, the more natural it feels. The more you push forward, the stronger you grow. So the only question left is, will you take the first step? Will you choose boldness over hesitation? Will you move forward while everyone else waits? Because that's the only way to create the future you want. And the only way to turn possibility into reality. The decision to stop waiting, stop overthinking, stop hesitating, and take control. So what will you choose? Will you continue to wait for the perfect moment, knowing that it will never come? Will you continue to let fear decide your future, knowing that it will keep you stuck? Or will you break free? Will you commit to bold, relentless, decisive action? Will you step forward right now and claim the future that is waiting for you? Because the future is not given. It is taken. It is forged. It is built by those who are willing to act while others hesitate. It is shaped by those who refuse to wait for permission. It is created by those who step into the unknown with absolute certainty that they will figure it out along the way. And those people, they are not any different from you. They simply made a choice. And now it is your turn. At the end of the day, your life is shaped by one thing: your ability to act boldly. Every success, every achievement, every breakthrough you've ever had came from a moment where you chose to move forward instead of holding back. Every failure, every missed opportunity, every regret came from a moment where you hesitated, where you let fear decide for you, where you waited instead of taking control. And this is the truth that most people spend their whole lives avoiding. No one is coming to save you. No one is going to hand you success. No one is going to push you forward. No one is going to force you to act. If you do not step up, if you do not take control, if you do not forge your own future, then someone else will decide it for you. Someone else will take the opportunities you left on the table. Someone else will build the life you only dreamed of, because the world doesn't wait for you to feel ready. It doesn't care if you're uncertain, unprepared, or afraid. It only rewards those who act, those who step forward, those who make things happen. If you want something, you have to go out and get it. If you want to make a change, you have to make it happen. If you want to shape your future, you have to start moving now. And once you make that decision, everything changes. Your hesitation disappears. Your fear loses its power. Your mind sharpens and your resolve strengthens. Because you are no longer waiting for the world to give you permission. You are taking control. You are moving forward. You are forging your own path. And that's how the future is built. The world is built by those who move, not by those who hesitate, not by those who wait, not by those who sit back and hope that one day things will magically change. The world belongs to those who take bold action, the ones who raise their hand, the ones who step forward, the ones who make things happen instead of waiting for them to happen. And that can be you. Because boldness is not a personality trait. It is a decision. It is not something you are born with. It is something you become by choosing it over and over again. Every time you take action, every time you move forward despite fear, every time you make a decision without waiting for perfection, you are rewiring your mind. You are building the identity of someone who takes charge, someone who makes things happen, someone who creates the future instead of waiting for it. There is no secret. There is no hidden formula, no magic strategy, no perfect timing. There is only this moment. And the decision you make right now, to act or to hesitate, to move or to wait, to take control or to let life pass you by. That is the only choice that matters. So what will you do? Will you let another day pass without action? Will you let another opportunity slip away because you were waiting to feel ready? Or will you make the decision, the one that changes everything? Will you commit to moving forward no matter what? Will you step into the future? Not with hesitation, not with doubt, but with bold, unstoppable, relentless action. Because your future is not waiting. It is being created in this moment by this decision. And if you want to forge the future, if you want to take control of your life, if you want to become the kind of person who acts instead of hesitates, this is where it starts. Not tomorrow, not next week. Now, move, take the first step, and don't stop until you've built the life you are meant to live.